Lobster boil. It's a wonderful way to celebrate a summer evening, going from sunlight to dusk to dark. Friends around the table just picking at lobsters and shrimps and potatoes and corn and onions, usually eating with my fingers. One of my fondest memories is being on the beach with my brother Joseph in Nantucket and making a lobster boil. We'd have a big propane burner out there, a humongous stock pot with a big strainer in it. We'd have vegetables galore, whether they were onions, potatoes, carrots, I mean, whatever we could find in our market. Of course, we'd have summer corn, and then this beautiful array of seafood, whether it was clams, mussels, shrimp, lobsters, whatever we could find to throw in a lobster boil would be great. We'd also have andouille sausage, which is something very traditional to put in a lobster boil. Andouille sausage is a sausage from the South, from New Orleans, kind of French, Cajun, if you will. It's a little spicy. So these were some of the main ingredients that would be in our lobster boil. And then what's a lobster boil without bay seasoning? We grew up in Maryland with blue crabs, and this was really what made blue crabs blue crabs. So I've got my large stock pot here. It has a strainer inside of it. I've already put my potatoes and onions in there. I always like to bring the vegetables up from cold water. So if I was going to have carrots in there, they'd be there as well. Any root vegetable would be in there at this time. Right now we have our big boiler onions in there and our beautiful potatoes. So they've already started cooking, and they're going to take the longest. So one of the important things about a lobster boil is timing, when to put the ingredients in there so they don't get overcooked. That's really, really critical. We're going to go ahead and season this with our bay seasoning. And how much do you use? It's all personal. How much do you like it? I like quite a bit, so I'll probably put in this amount, maybe a quarter cup to a third of a cup. And that aroma, as soon as it hits that heat, you get that spiciness, that aromas of whatever they put in our bay seasoning. Always say a secret. Peppers, sweet peppers, chili peppers, different spices. Okay. Some lemons. I'm going to squeeze each one of them as I put it in to get that lemon juice out of there. And then we'll leave them in as well. So the rind also perfumes this liquid. Now it'll come up and down in temperature. Again, it's best to have this on an extremely robust burner so that you're not waiting too long to bring it up to a boil. They don't call it a lobster boil for nothing. Of course, our herbs here, we have bay leaf, thyme, parsley, and we've wrapped this around leek, so it's a very kind of rustic bouquet garni. That goes in there. Some garlic, just cut in half. Want to be able to see that when we're done, but some of this garlic cloves will fall apart and they'll cook as well. And when you find one in your finished lobster boil, you'll be delighted. And then, of course, salt. We want this to taste like seawater, where all of our ingredients come from, except our sausage and our vegetables. So right now I'm smelling the lemon, I'm smelling the bay seasoning kind of separately. And as this cooks and starts to mature and flavor together, it'll become a different aroma. We're going to let that come up to a boil. We got a nice simmer going on there. I'm going to bring over my my platter of beautiful seafood here to get ready. I'm gonna add a little vinegar. Remember that vinegar is gonna help the setting of the protein in our lobster and eventually our shrimp as well. But also vinegar enhances flavor. We'll go ahead and put my sausage in. The sausage, which are already cooked, are now going to perfume our boil as well. Start to get a little bit of that protein flavor and aroma that, again, is associated so much with this feast. We never make a lobster boil just for 2 or 4 people. It's always going to be for 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. The bigger the pot, the bigger the party. The bigger the party, the more fun we're having. We've just added our andouille sausage. Now we're going to test our onions and potatoes because that's going to be the true barometer when we're going to start adding our other shellfish. There's real critical timing issues that we want to maintain with the shellfish because we don't want to undercook or overcook it. So we want everything else to be ready by the time that begins. And so our potatoes and onions are important. So the onion, boiler, I can just pierce it without resistance. The small potato still has a little bit of resistance. So leave those in for another maybe 10 minutes before I start to add my more delicate shellfish. I see a lot of steam escaping out of our steam vent here, so I can imagine we're pretty close to a good simmer or maybe even a boil. So let me open that up. Oh, yeah. And again, now I'm starting to smell a lot of different aromas going on here. The sausage has added a richness to it in the aroma, and I can see the sausage floating on top. We've scored them, by the way, just to give them a little more opportunity to be seasoned internally with the lobster boil liquid. And if you can see that, just some beautiful things going on there already. Okay, so now it's gonna pick up in pace here. We're gonna drop our lobsters in and put a timer on for about 10 minutes. At the same time, we're gonna drop our corn in about 3 minutes later, and then we'll bring our shrimp into play, and then finally our clams into play. So within the next 10 to 15 minutes, we're done. Push them down. Totally submerged. Back on top. Corn will be next. All right, the lobster's been in it for 3 minutes approximately. A nice little, it's not simmering quite yet, but those lobsters were cold, so it certainly reduced that temperature down quite a bit. But that's all right. They're still cooking at a very nice temperature. We're gonna add our corn. Corn doesn't take very long to cook at all. We cover that up quickly. See a little mix there. See those lobsters, see the andouille, the corn now, the aromas. It's so thick with food that it's hard to pull my strainer out. As soon as that has a waft of a simmer, then I'm going to add my shrimp and my clams. That should be about the last 5 minutes. Always keep an eye on your steam vent there for indication, so you're not opening and closing it all the time. Okay, so I can start to see some steam coming out of my vent there. I can feel, the senses that we're using, in this case, sight and feel. I can feel the heat coming up against the lid of the pot here. Okay, so I think we're up to a good boil here. Yeah, see that beautiful simmer going on? It's not a rapid boil, but you can see where we've got a boil going on. That's really good. We're gonna add our shrimp and our clams now, and that'll be the final part of our lobster boil. It'll take about another 4 to 5 minutes, depending on the size of the shrimp and the size of the clams, of course. The clam, the liquid from the clam is going to come out. I mean, the aromas here are just fabulous. What I like to do is take some of that cooking liquid, keep it hot, put it in a large bowl so we can continue to use it during our lobster boil, during our feast. Push those down. Cover it back on, and we're just about there. Ready to have a great time? There's beer on the table. It's a summer's night eve, and we're gonna have a Maine lobster boil. We get some of this beautiful cooking liquid out of here. And again, depending on how many people you can have several of these bowls. We've got clarified butter. We've got more lemons on the table. We've got salt. We've got mallets. We've got nutcrackers. Yeah, whatever you want. Lobster bibs. The whole 9 yards. Oh, just the aroma of that is just fantastic. Now what I'm gonna do, because I can't lift this up like this without hurting myself, I'm gonna go ahead and get some help and put this down lower so when I lift up my basket, I can let it strain without breaking my back. Okay, here we go. Oh, whew. So always be careful. Hot water, hot food. I know we get excited and we want to just jump in there, but I always want you to hesitate before you do things, okay? Just a little bit, all right? So I'm gonna start just by shaking and dragging. A little salt, as always. Dig in.